The following is a Storm Track 5 special presentation.
On April 27th, 2011, the atmosphere was primed.
We were watching this storm system for several days in advance, and I think this was the first time we had the severe threat tracker in the high category 3 days out.
As the sun set, the storms were on a direct path to the Tri-Cities.
Most of our storms, when they come in from the southwest, from the Knoxville area, those are the ones that are going to pose a bigger tornado threat. So oftentimes they're the supercell storms that are kind of moving up the valleys, and those have the best chance to produce tornadoes.
Shortly after 8 p.m., the first tornado touched down in Greene County. From there, it was one after another, with a total of 11 tornadoes touching down across northeast Tennessee and southwest Virginia.
Usually when we get tornado events, we see one or maybe two tornadoes, but this was significant.
14 people lost their lives to the storms. Welcome to our Storm Track 5 Severe Weather Special. I'm Chief Meteorologist Dave Dirks. April 27 marks 10 years since that historic tornado outbreak in our region. Today, we'll take a look back and make sure you're prepared for the next severe weather threat.
One of the communities hard hit by the storm was South Central, where an EF3 tornado with winds of 150 miles an hour ripped apart homes. News 5's Preston Ayers takes us back to South Central and speaks with first responders as they remember that night.
It hit, it just sounded like a big jet airplane. And probably within 30, maybe 45 seconds, it was gone.
It was just a few seconds, but those seconds left deep wounds on the South Central community.
I mean, it was a long time. I couldn't even hardly talk about it.
I caught up with Nolichucky Fire Chief Charles Baines. He rode out the storm here at the fire hall and describes having to pry the doors up to get the trucks out.
You know, it was just complete destruction. Everywhere you looked, everything was down, you know. And I wondered how many got killed.
There were 2 lives lost in his fire district. One was a close family friend. Baines answered the phone when the victim's brother called begging for help. Telling the story is still difficult today.
He called me back before they got there, and he says, I found him. He's dead. And
Still hard now.
yeah, it is.
Horse Creek and Guy Brown Road, it's maybe 2 miles as the crow flies from the fire hall. But Baines told me it took hours to get his crews in here because the trees were down crisscrossed, blocking the road.
In some spots, pasture fields have now replaced where houses once stood. And if you know where to look, you can still see the tornado's path.
Back right behind me, you can tell, you know, if you remember what it looked like before and what it looks like now, you can tell a big difference.
Storm recovery took years in this community, but it also brought improvements. The fire station added a much-needed generator.
I think people now would heed the warnings. They watch the news and the weather better, you know, and a lot of people's got the weather radios now.
Prepared for something they hope to never see again. In Washington County, Tennessee, Preston Ayers, News 5, WCYB.
Let's take a look at the ratings and tracks of these tornadoes. Greene County in our region saw the most tornadoes, with 5 recorded across the county. 2 EF3s touched down in Camp Creek and Horse Creek. We also had an EF0 very close to the mountains and another EF0 in the southwest part of the county. Now, 2 of these tornadoes tracked from Greene County into Washington County, including this EF2 up here and the EF3 that went from Camp Creek over into the South Central area. We go a little bit further north and east into Johnson County, and that's where we had another deadly tornado with 2 people killed in the Doe Valley and Butler communities. 2 women killed by that EF2 tornado there. Across the state line, 4 more tornadoes in Washington County, Virginia, and an additional tornado in Smith County that was rated an EF1. The strongest tornado to occur in southwest Virginia, that was the EF3 that tracked 17 miles through Washington County, making it the longest tornado on record for Washington County, Virginia.
The community of Camp Creek in Greene County was hit hard by an EF3 tornado. We went back to Camp Creek and spoke to those who were there 10 years later.
The tornadoes shattered homes and lives in Greene County's Camp Creek community.
We were started downstairs and hadn't made it to the basement yet. then when it was over so quick, I mean, before we even got to the basement, it was gone.
I remember the floor coming up, and next thing I know, I'm like 2 rooms down.
Only 3 rooms of Robin Collier's home survived. 5 relatives' homes were either damaged or destroyed. And in all, 8 people died and hundreds of homes were impacted.
Once we got out here, it was everywhere. It looked like a war zone.
But before the sun could rise the next morning, the people of Camp Creek started helping one another rebuild.
There were civilians from the community, from other communities, I believe, that were just joined in, helping clear the roads, checking on them, going door to door with us, checking. It was just the outpouring of volunteers was amazing.
Seeing the way people came together. Yeah, it was just amazing how everybody was there for everybody.
AidNet, a volunteer organization that formed years earlier, stepped up to lead the rebuilding efforts. The group raised well over $500,000 in just a matter of months.
We had over 600 families that were affected by this tornado. We helped recover and put people back in 114 different homes over a period of about 14 months.
A decade later, the debris is long gone and many of the homes are rebuilt. This memorial now stands as a permanent reminder of the lives lost.
That was the kind of night I don't ever want to have to live through again.
And those who live here will never forget. Preston Ayers, News 5, WCYB.
Coming up, we'll show you how advancements in radar and live stream technology has improved our ability to alert you to severe weather dangers. And later, meteorologist Jessica Burns shows you how to have multiple ways to get weather alerts. One of the hardest hit areas was Glade Spring, where an EF3 tornado hit in the early morning hours of April 28th. Meteorologist Jessica Burns shows us some of your photos from that area.
There's quite a few astounding photos that some people have sent us of this event. Here's an aerial photo taken of Glade Spring, one area that was hit hard by tornadoes. We can see lots of damage across this area, and the tornado even knocked over lots of semis that were parked at a truck stop in that area. We can see that there. Lots of homes were damaged, unfortunately, with this storm. This is the Glade Veterinary Clinic. We can see the whole building has just kind of caved in. Same thing with this brick house in Glade Spring. You can see that a whole entire wall has been knocked out. Lots of the home is exposed. Same thing with this other house in Glade Spring. Now this photo is another great one of why you don't take cover in a mobile home, why you need to find some other place to locate, whether it's a storm shelter or a neighbor's basement. This tornado basically overturned this mobile home. There was no way anybody in this house would have been able to find really good safety. Now, tornadoes, they loft a lot of debris when they're moving around. And this tornado took a metal beam and smashed it through the windshield of a car. Definitely not a safe situation. And this storm also dumped very large hailstones across the area. This picture was sent in from Saltville. Hail can do tons of damage across the area, and lots of people said that their homes were even damaged by the hail. In severe weather, we love it when you send photos to us. Please send your weather photos using WCYB.com/chime-in, but please make sure you are safe when you are taking those photos.
The way we track storms and broadcast has changed significantly since 2011. These improvements help us keep you and your family safe.
The one that has that possible tornado.
Since 2011, the technology we use to track storms has improved. DualPol provides meteorologists with 14 new radar products to analyze storms. When tornadoes move in, DualPol allows us to spot debris lofted by the tornado. This allows confirmation of a tornado that may have been otherwise obscured by rain or in a rural area where nobody sees it. Knowing that a tornado is on the ground allows us to warn people upstream of the storm's danger. But it's not just radar that has improved since 2011. Research has shown that being able to see the danger encourages people to act. StormTrack 5 has invested in a network of cameras across the area, allowing us to show you real-time weather conditions via our Ashley Home Store camera network, with more than 10 cameras in Northeast Tennessee and Southwest Virginia. With more than 10 cameras in Northeast Tennessee and Southwest Virginia, our team of meteorologists has access to the largest camera network of any TV station in our region. In 2011, if you were going to report live from the scene, you had to use a microwave or satellite truck. Now, our crews can go live from anywhere with advancements in cell phone streaming technology. Our Storm Tracker also allows us to be live on the road, showing you what conditions are like on your drive. We can even go live from our Sky 5 drone, powered by Empire Ford, to show you the damage after the storms have moved through. Combine the new technology with our team of degreed meteorologists, and you've got a team that's ready for the next severe weather threat. Still to come, we take a look at when severe weather is most likely. And the News 5 team recalls their memories of the storms as they race through our region.
When we look back at all of the tornado data, we see a clear trend on the most likely time of day for a tornado to occur, late in the afternoon and through the evening hours. We have seen some tornadoes in the morning hours, but certainly many of them come late in the day and through the evening. And unfortunately, about half of the tornadoes that have occurred in Tennessee have occurred around or after dark. And unfortunately, nighttime tornadoes are twice as likely to be fatal compared to daytime tornadoes. As we look at our viewing area, the most likely time for tornado warnings to be issued range from around 5 p.m. to 11 p.m., so again, late in the day. And when we look at how long it's been since some tornado warnings have been issued, some spots, including Buchanan and Dickinson counties, it's been 10 years since a tornado warning has been issued there. In the Tri-Cities, 2014 to 2017, but western areas have seen tornado warnings as recent as last year. But no matter how long it has been since you've been under a tornado warning, you also want to have that tornado plan just in case a storm warning is issued for your area.
A lot of our viewers probably have some vivid memories of that scary night on April 27, 28, 2011. Gosh, guys, it's been 10 years ago today that we were in the studio, covering these dangerous storms as they developed. Probably the most, memorable, impactful, and tragic weather event that I can remember in my 34 years here at WCYB. And you were all in the studio with the weather team, broadcasting wall to wall. But I'm sure as we look back 10 years later, you can think of some really, memorable experiences during that event.
So incredible. I was 5 months pregnant. I remember being out there checking out the damage the next day, and it was just incredible, the things that had happened to people's homes, the destruction.
And I have a vivid memory of the look on your face when that storm hit this TV station. I knew we were in trouble.
Yeah, I tell you, speaking of how bad it was that night, here's an interesting stat. There were more than 70 tornado warnings that the National Weather Service Morristown issued across East Tennessee, from Chattanooga to the Tri-Cities and Southwest Virginia. We had 4 separate tornado warnings in Bristol, Virginia alone that evening. And one of those storms, when it hailed so badly, the roar of that sound was so bad, so kind of deafening in the studio, we all were looking at each other, not knowing if that was really hail or perhaps a tornado striking.
I remember that vividly. The folks in the control room told us in our ears, we're evacuating, you're on your own. And PJ asked you, Dave, do we need to get under the desk?
Exactly. Here's a clip of that right now. Tremendous amounts of hail the way it sounds right now over top Bristol. I'm not sure if that isn't like strong winds. Wow, that was kind of scary, I'll tell you. And PJ, you kind of had a unique experience. You packed up the gear and you headed out to see how it was kind of influencing or how it was impacting our area that night.
I'd gotten a call from Leslie Earhart that Apple Valley had been hit pretty hard, so we went there, lots of destruction there. Then I got a call from our boss that there's something going on in Glade Spring. So we go roaring up the interstate. We get about a mile from Glade Spring, the exit. Everything stopped. I knew that was the first sign there was something big happening. So we worked our way down the breakdown lane, don't tell anybody, and made it to the exit. And I saw this huge thing on top of the exit. Like, what is that? It was an upside down tractor trailer.
Oh my.
I thought, oh my goodness, what could have done this? So we get out of the car, I walk through the checkpoint, we're the first press there. The first thing we see in the middle of the road was this huge air conditioner. It must have weighed 2,000 pounds. It had blown off the truck stop into the middle of the road. And then there was just destruction everywhere. The gas station, the pumps were flowing with gasoline going everywhere. Very dangerous situation. People were milling around. They had no idea what that hit them. And it was apparent it was something very bad, a tornado.
It really was. I mean, there were a number of communities from, Camp Creek to Deauville to, Glade Spring, as you mentioned right there. And thankfully, an outbreak like that is very rare across our area, but tornadoes do happen every now and then across our area. Severe weather happens multiple times every year, so it's always a good idea to be weather aware and ready to seek shelter during severe weather.
It's always best to be prepared before severe weather strikes, and one of the best ways you can be ready is finding multiple ways for you to receive watches and warnings. The tornado siren has been used to warn people in cities across the U.S. of tornadoes since 1970. Depending on your location, a tornado siren might not be close by. Here in the Tri-Cities, there aren't many tornado sirens. Even if there's a tornado siren nearby, it shouldn't be your only source for warnings in the off chance it fails to sound during a tornado. There are many other ways to receive warnings, and it's always best to have a couple to rely on. The National Weather Service has produced the weather radios to transmit all watches and warnings they put out. You can customize the radio for your specific area and can choose what alerts you want to receive. The moment an alert is issued, the radio will beep and flash, and you can listen to the details of the message. Weather radios are reliable. Weekly tests are performed to ensure the alert system is working, and it runs off both power and backup batteries in the event of a power outage. Your phone can receive weather alerts in a couple of ways. If you have the emergency alert system enabled on your phone, you will be sent a notification in the event of a tornado. This notification won't provide extensive details about the storm, but it will let you know if your life or property is at risk. You can also download the Storm Track 5 app on your phone. It's free and will send you notifications in the event of severe weather. You can also access the current radar to monitor any occurring storms right in the palm of your hands.
Coming up, I'll explain what the different severe weather risk levels mean and how you should prepare. We often show you the storm risk outlook from the Storm Prediction Center and use this scale from 1 to 5, with level 1 being a marginal risk, level 2 being a slight risk, and level 3 being an enhanced risk for severe weather. Another way to look at this, in the marginal zone, isolated severe thunderstorms are possible, and the slight scattered severe possible, and numerous severe usually occurs in the enhanced zone. So when we break this down a little bit more, we can see in the marginal risk, we usually have winds of 40 to 60 miles an hour in the storms and some quarter-sized hail. But as you move up the categories, the hail gets larger, the tornado risk also increases, and we have had a few times where we've been in the moderate risk or level 4 out of 5 in the Tri-Cities. High risk is very rare, and it hasn't happened anytime recently in the Tri-Cities. But another way to look at this is the higher the risk, the more often you want to check in here at the Storm Track 5 Weather Center on how the weather situation is developing and also how it could impact your plans. Of course, anytime that severe weather is coming up, you can always count on us to track it here on air, online, and also on our mobile apps.
April 27th is a reminder that severe weather and tornadoes are threats to our region. The Storm Track 5 team is always here for you, tracking the next weather maker and any severe weather threat to you and your family. Trust us to be here with you to keep you safe and calm during the storm.